You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is We'll do it live! Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000! My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Do a barrel roll. Don't face me, bro. It's a trap. I'm a firing memory. Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up! Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Basis Show, airing on Phoenix 92.5 FM and all those wonderful places on the internet like Spotify and, of course, our own channel. I am Cian, and with me this week are...
Kev, and Katie.
Hello, Kev.
Kev.
I was trying to figure out if it sounded like you were falling off a cliff or falling asleep, but there's definitely something is in motion there.
He's falling asleep while falling off a cliff.
Oh,
yeah, it's somebody who is very sleepy, but also very excited to see you walk into the room.
Hey.
Hey.
Right. I will try and get the energy up, and I will do so with a game. So, an activity, if you will. Maybe you can feel at home. So, we are going to cover a few video games today. Some new releases, some re-releases. But
and some
first
we've
of all,
been threatening to
Kev
cover
is
for
going to
about 3
take us
weeks.
on a journey, and I challenge Kev to take us on a certain journey without saying the word family, and we'll see how far he gets. And I wonder if anyone has figured out what film series you might want to talk about that would involve family, and it's not The Incredibles. So, Kev,
no, Cian, you're forgetting first off that it's pronounced family.
Who had 2 seconds?
There was no way. There was simply no way, because the Fast and the Furious franchise is rooted in family.
Okay, now it's a drinking game instead.
Yeah, now it's every single time.
Maybe not while you're driving.
So
how else will you get furious?
Oh yeah. Have they ever said like drive responsibly in a Fast and Furious movie?
Absolutely not. And also, nobody has ever stopped for petrol. So,
what about the time they siphoned the petrol out of those trucks? Well, I mean, they didn't technically stop, but
to be fair, in Fast and Furious 2, the cars were CGI. So, like, you know, where are you going to get CGI petrol?
From the CGI gas station.
Oh, they have to like drive through cars. It's a crossover.
Now that's crossover of the century. Lightning McQueen and Vin Diesel. I'd take it.
Ciao.
Oh my god. Okay, yes, we are talking about
ciao.
A franchise that has as many films as Star Wars. It should be worth pointing out. So, Kev, take us through your journey. Did you binge all of these at once, or what?
I shotgun 10 of these things over the course of a weekend. For the record, disclaimer: I have yet to actually watch 10.
Okay, well,
I have seen 10 of these movies. I have not watched Fast 10. I will get to it.
Hobbs and Shaw blows up the Vatican or something. It's fine.
And I have been sitting on this and wanting to talk to somebody about this, but it turns out that not a lot of people I know have seen all of the Fast and Furious movies. You weren't around.
I'm putting my hand up.
I'm mostly just blaming my fiance.
Now that was
Why
audible.
did you just like walk in and you were in the middle of like Tokyo Drift and you were like, my secret shame?
Oh, there was nothing secret about this. I was giving her updates constantly. So I have written a ranked list of all of the Fast and Furious movies. Yeah.
He did his homework.
A ranked list with thoughts.
Yeah, before we get into it though, I'm sure everyone knows by now, we did cover the rough chronology of the Fast and Furious series before. If you missed that, we'll just say that it's on a par with Kingdom Hearts as far as
it's not that complicated. It's just the third movie takes place after like the next 5.
You say that, but like there's also like kind of interlinked like characters from one come back in another, and like there's linking threads and all that.
But that's the thing. That's what has like shook me about all this. It is one of the most shockingly cohesive film franchises.
Yes.
I've seen. Like there's a solid 4 movie run from like 4 through 8 where it is picking up right where that left off, and we have things to take care of.
Oh, completely. It's like, I mean, I'm sure you're going to get into it, but like it's really bizarre watching the series because like the first one is just like a film, a good film, but like just a film, you know?
Yeah.
And the second one is made by people who clearly don't care. And the third one who is made by people who do care but want to do something different. And then after that, like all of like the things that didn't work in those first couple are all brought back by people who do care. It's like you're watching them fix it up in real time. It's like, imagine like if the people who made the Fast and the Furious were in charge of like the Star Wars prequels, Jar Jar Binks would have been in 4 films by now in a central role. That's the level.
And we care about him. That's the thing.
Exactly.
So I'll give the kind of the quick rundown of my thoughts and rankings of them. Also, I need to point out that the naming conventions for this franchise are insane.
That's where I draw the Kingdom Hearts kind of comparison. Yes.
Yeah, truly the scribblings of a madman. So I'll start. Number 10, least favorite was Hobbs and Shaw. Pardon me. Its full title, Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay, that looked like
Hobbs and Shaw was amazing.
Do you know what? It is a fun romp, but it lacks the heart and cohesion that the likes of Paul Walker and Vin Diesel bring to it, and you're left with 2 main characters snarking at each other for 3/4 of the movie, which is fun in isolation. I did not find engaging on a character concept.
No,
but the back end of the movie is good.
Well, I mean, we'll get into the plot, but like it does speak to the sturdiness of the Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
2 reformed villains from the Fast and Furious series can now team up and fight a newer villain, and everyone doesn't go, what? Like they just go, yeah, that seems legit.
And
could
also,
you imagine if like the Dark Elf and like Ultron got their own movie together? That's how bizarre like point A to point B is, like, you know?
Yeah, but it also helps that Hobbs and Shaw are 2 very recognizable action actors in The Rock and Jason Statham.
Sure, but they still had to be kept interested by the franchise.
But yeah, the other big thing I have although the fact that Idris Elba is like Black Superman, thoroughly entertaining.
Black Terminator.
There is a Terminator character, but we'll get back to that. That's 7. But I really didn't like the fact that he had actual superpowers that were explained. Because the thing about the Fast and Furious franchise that I love so much is that it is larger than life in a way that is ill-defined, in that Vin Diesel can make his car do feats of superhuman strength by sheer will alone. And it's something, there's something magic in that. And I think actually giving somebody defined superpowers takes away from it.
So it was too unrealistic for a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, it was a little too silly. And again,
what about the family magic?
Oh, there's family magic.
That's it. Yeah, it had that kind of root theme in with Jason Statham and his sister,
and the Rock's family,
and the Rock's family on Samoa. Yeah, but I think.
Oh my god, I haven't seen Hop Show. There's a new family.
Like it's all very much the underlying theme of family.
Right.
I don't know. Like out of all of them, it's the one I was least interested in.
Okay.
And the one it was the one I stopped halfway through and had to come back the next day.
Oh, okay. That's a good barometer.
So number 9 on my list is Fast and Furious, not to be mixed up with The Fast and the Furious.
Number 4, is it?
This is number 4.
Okay, right.
4, as you mentioned, the first 3 are kind of a hodgepodge of figuring out, we can do more with this car movie. 4 is them taking it and starting what would be kind of the saga of the Fast and Furious.
Yeah, 4 is the one where they decided actually this is going to be a narrative series.
Yeah, but it is the least exciting of that franchise going forward, and is also less exciting than the other 3 movies that precede it.
Yeah, because it's 4 is a weird one where it, in a quality sense, it is better than the first 3, maybe, but they haven't quite figured out a way to do the melodrama.
Yeah.
And the crazy stuff. Because doesn't it involve like Michelle Rodriguez like getting shot, and isn't Gal Gadot in the mix as well? And,
yeah, so I think fair spoilers all across for the whole franchise. But yeah, Michelle Rodriguez gets murked off screen within the first 20 minutes of the movie. And the rest of the thing is Vin Diesel on a revenge quest through the cartel, of which Gal Gadot's like a prime agent of. And like that's it is dull, and its ending just is a muddied car chase through a cave.
Yeah, it's really weird. If you mix like the third one, Tokyo Drift, and this together, you would get what is now a standard Fast and Furious movie, but the elements just aren't together. It's like they're in 2 different bowls. Like,
yeah,
2 different movies.
It builds on what would be better about things later.
Yeah.
Next
it's
up, number 8,
right place, but they haven't hit their stride yet. Like,
yeah, they're working the right direction. Next up, then is Too Fast, Too Furious.
I was gonna say, if Too Fast, Too Furious isn't next, I'm quitting.
I am charmed by it because it does introduce us to Roman and Tej, who are 2 of the best characters in this franchise.
Yes, but not until later.
I still think they're fun in this. It's like it's very like it is very much a standard Miami Vice buddy cop movie.
Oh but no, for me 2 is the absolute worst.
I think Paul Walker carries it for me.
True, you do have Paul Walker, but like to me, it's very easily the most dated of all of them. Like because
certainly,
like the cars are CGI. Like you're I can't believe the cars are CGI. Like you're only there for cars, really. And but also like this, apart from Paul Walker, like the supporting cast is very like I find them to be very cringy, and you've got like one of the actors from Sin City, and you've got who's the other? Is it Ludacris? Is the other one, or
Ludacris is Tej? Yeah,
Ludacris is Tej. Yeah. And like they're better later, but like they're just kind of explosive and loud, and like to be honest, I've seen it twice. I cannot remember the plot. I just remember feeling very old watching it.
Oh yeah, no, it is as rote like Miami buddy cop. Like they are stopping a drug kingpin in Miami. Like you've seen like, it. It's Scarface. It's
like I mean, I didn't watch it when it came out, but as soon as like I saw clips of it, I was like, right, Fast and Furious is done. They've run out of ideas.
Yeah,
even Vin Diesel's not here.
It might be that it's obviously it was the second one I watched. I did enjoy it at least a little bit.
Okay, maybe I'll go back to it with a fresher eye, but like I find that one to be the most aggravating.
Well, moving swiftly onwards, number 7 on my list is The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
Okay, I find that one quite charming, but
it is, and that's why it's ranked higher than Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yes, absolutely.
But it is still absurd in ways that are just. It is absurd in ways that are like interesting. Most of which is trying to convince us in any semblance that this 30-year-old man is a high school student.
Yes, the country bumpkin guy
with a dubious southern accent.
Yes. It's so bizarre. It's like, because like, doesn't it start and he's in, you can't see
American high school,
high school, with all these like
with a bunch of other 30-year-old people
doing their drag racing to impress girls and stuff and blah. And it has the makings of like an awful film. And then, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes in, it gets weirdly sincere in a way that holds my attention, you know?
But is also camp and funny. Like, oh God. Twisty? No, the rapper, his friend in that. I can't remember his name now. Like he has a weird like Hulk car that has a punch like.
Oh yeah.
Like it's also goofy as hell. Throughout, and then just kind of like beelines into a Yakuza movie. Like it is an odd curiosity that is also like it is in itself like a fundamental pin of this franchise.
Exactly, but that's what I kind of like about it. The impression I got was that someone who didn't care came up with a basically the Fast and the Furious one again, but Tokyo. And then a director who did care came in and like, right, we're gonna work this until it works. And they didn't get all the way, but considering the elements, they did a damn good job. It is the anti Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah.
Where it's like, Too Fast, Too Furious has a concept that could work, but it feels very thrown together. Where here's a flawed concept that everyone worked really hard at, and they deserve a star. Gosh darn it!
And we got Han.
Yes,
net positive.
Oh, Han is so good. They have broken this franchise to keep him.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And yeah, I think am I right in saying this was the first movie directed by Justin Lin?
Yes.
Yeah, he on and off director throughout the rest of the franchise, but typically is like known for the best or the better
and the
movies.
film looks gorgeous. It should be
said. Number 6 I have is The Fate of the Furious. Number 8. Still a blast.
Your number 6 on your list is number 8 from Fast and
Furious.
This is going to get so confusing so quickly. This is the submarine, is it?
This is the one with the submarine. Charlize Theron is the hacker. Yeah.
Katie, do you have any questions?
I'm just going to sit this one out, I think.
Just let it wash over you.
Charlize Theron is evil in a submarine, and she's
all I know is she has a terrible haircut.
What?
The cornrows are dreadful. She gets a better haircut in the next one.
Oh, is that the one where she has cornrows? Okay, it's the newest one then. She has a terrible haircut.
It's better than the cornrows.
Yeah, but it's like a bowl cut, or
it's like hair was put on her head.
Yeah.
Not to segue too far, but I saw an ad for Fast 10. Apparently, they've got like Brie Larson now.
I don't know. They could have anyone at this point, and I wouldn't be surprised. But my issues with Fast 8 are the issues that the fan base were absolutely rampant in. So, broad strokes, Han dies at the end of Tokyo Drift.
Right.
And the next 5 movies after that take place before that because all of them have Han in it.
Yes.
7 introduces the fact that Han was actually killed by that movie's bad guy.
Yeah. Sure.
8, sure. Jason Statham.
Yeah.
8 turns around and has Shaw have a very quick redemption arc and has him be brought into the family when Han is still dead.
Okay, because like to be honest, I didn't check out 8 because I'm sure you'll get to it, but 7 feels like a very good we're done point, you know. So I was wondering how they were going to navigate. So you don't feel like they navigated that successfully?
No, and it is also like to kind of talk broadly as well. It was during the filming of 7, Paul Walker passed away in a car accident. And like he is one of the main characters. He is like he's almost where Vin Diesel would be like the kind of the stone, the Rock, not the Rock.
Who's in
he
this?
comes later. But like where he's kind of like the foundational core of these movies. Paul Walker was like the emotional heart.
He's the Peter Quill. Like he's the one that
except we like him, you know. And so, like his death, there was a large hole in 8 that they just could not really fill. Not that even that the movie was built around him, but like it is missing him.
No, he is the emotional center because throughout it, doesn't he go out with Vin Diesel's sister and then they start a family? And that's the whole thing.
They do manage.
There's a story logic to him leaving them behind. Go be a dad instead of jumping cars off cliffs in Dubai or whatever. But you'd have to work hard to make them without him. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I think they do. They. I'll talk about it with 9. They do improve on that and
Right.
kind of like make that gap a little bit better. But like it was stark moving from 7 to 8 without him.
Right.
But even like aside from that, 8 is still a blast. It has Charlize Theron hacking cars that they are raining from the sky. They fight a nuclear submarine in cars. The Rock throws a torpedo with his hands. It's still a blast.
Very silly.
Also, actually, and my other big gripe with 8 is that they killed Elena pretty unceremoniously, and she was a character who I felt had a lot of potential.
Oh no!
Yeah, because it's. Did you watch 8? No, you didn't. You just said
no.
I
stopped at 7.
No, yeah. I'll leave off any finer details, but like the whole conceit of 8 was that Charlize Theron had dirt on Vin Diesel, and he has to betray the family.
I saw that in the trailer. Yeah.
But yeah, like it's figuring itself out after a pretty drastic shift that I just don't think it worked as well as it could have.
Okay.
Next on then we have Furious 7.
Really, that low?
I think what I'm looking at here, what I think I wrote here is that like all of the movies from here on out are great.
Right.
7, I think, ranks under them compared to every other one.
But it has The Rock flexing out of a cast.
Yeah, no, still a blast.
The moments that made my then girlfriend at the time scream.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with her. It's great. This is the one where they murdered the bad guy of 6, Owen Shaw, played by Luke Evans. His brother is back, who is Jason Statham.
Yeah.
And great, you mentioned earlier, this is the one where Jason Statham basically plays a Terminator and is just constantly chasing them. And that's a great conceit. I think the only thing holding it back is that they introduced this warlord who just has goons, and they are just goons for the sake of goons.
Okay. I suppose 5, 6, and 7, you can kind of put them in any order, and it's kind of like a fairly close race.
Yeah, like it is lacking in only the fact that I think every other movie is better in some marketable way.
Okay, I'm trying to remember, like, kind of. I was just impressed that they managed to weave Tokyo Drift into its narrative quite seamlessly.
So I think a lot of these, like, 5 through 7, kind of like did the heavy lifting of what makes Tokyo Drift so great. I think.
Yeah.
Number 4, we have the original, The Fast and the Furious.
Okay, which must seem quite quaint now. None of them are flying cars in space.
It does, but you know what? It is the groundwork, and it has everything that I love dearly about this franchise in the relationship between Paul Walker and Vin Diesel. Like it's Point Break. It's just Point Break with cars. But it works because both of these actors are so dialed in. I think it's still a blast, barring some 2001 slurs that get thrown around. I think it holds up.
Yeah,
the F slur gets thrown out within the first 5 minutes. It's not right. Great.
And Fast and the first Fast and Furious is like you know the kind of the assumptions people make about the Fast and Furious franchise, but they haven't actually seen it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, about the misogyny and sort of all that kind of stuff. To be fair to those people, that stuff is there in Fast 1. Yeah. It is a pretty, like, you know...
of its time movie.
Yeah.
But I still think, like again, focusing on the narrative, like, it has all of the elements that will carry this through an 11-movie franchise.
Yes.
In Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez... like that core is there, and I think they got it right from the go.
Yes.
These characters don't fundamentally change from what that movie establishes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I can
there's growth, but like they are still the same character from then.
Yeah, the foundations, it's like the first Iron Man. The foundations are there. Like, okay. Well, go on.
I think it holds its up.
Yeah, top 3 then.
Top 3, we have F9.
I haven't seen that. Give me a quick.
You have not. So the quick synopsis is that Vin Diesel, Dom Toretto, has a brother. Do you know who his brother is?
You can't see
It is John Cena.
Oh my god.
One of the things I love most about 9 is how it ties itself to the rest of the franchise. One of the core plot elements of 9 is Dom's dad's death, right, which he mentions in the first movie. And the whole reason that Dom went to jail for beating a guy with a tire wrench. We finally get that happening. We finally get why he did that.
Okay, all right. Look, anything alike the brothers?
No, not a bit, not at all. But the sincerity sells it, because
surely you'd want to make him brothers or have some distant relation to The Rock, so you can have some wrestling type stuff. No,
absolutely not. No, John Cena is Dom Toretto's brother, and on top of that, is now working with Charlize Theron, the bad guy from 8. To get a giant super weapon, because that's what these movies are about now.
Oh my god. Is the super weapon a giant car?
No, it's an orb.
An orb?
Yeah.
Well, they're going after an infinity stone.
Sorry, no, actually, sorry. I need to clarify. I am spoiling the hell out of 9. It's an orb in 2 halves and a human girl.
Oh my god.
Also, hands back from the dead.
Fast and Furious, the spirits within.
Oh, and that's not even the craziest part. They fly a car into space.
Fast and Furious, birth by sleep.
Cargo space.
And you know who they get to help them fly this car into space? The boys from Tokyo Drift.
What?
Yeah.
Who?
They're back. It's after, and they're finally actually adult men.
Tokyo Drift. You're joking.
Yeah. No. That's it. Fast 9 is fan service, and it's excellent.
Oh my god.
It's wacky, it's silly, and it is what this franchise does at its best.
Holy moly. Okay, go on. I'm excited to hear top 2 now.
Well, it's obvious at this point if you can kind of deduct. Number 2 is 6.
Yeah.
Which, as I mentioned, is Luke Evans.
Who's kind of London Rock.
Luke Evans, London. He's basically a very prototypical super comic book villain. But the gimmick is that he forms an almost mirror universe Fast and Furious team to the one we know.
That's right. And isn't Michelle Rodriguez on the team?
So after, as we mentioned, in 4 she is murdered. At the end of 5 we find out she's alive. But
and impressively, don't they get that actor from Fast and Furious 2, the one from Ghost Rider, back to actually be in a scene?
Yeah, no, she's the one that tells The Rock that Letty's alive.
I know it's Eva something. I'm gonna look it up now.
Eva Longoria? Yeah.
No, not Eva Longoria. She's the one that's in Ghost Rider. I will find now.
Eva Mendes.
Could be. 1 second. Just talk amongst yourselves, everyone. I'm going at the speed of.
But yeah, so she is actually back, but she has lost her memories and then has to fight, gather spaceship parts.
Eva Mendes, yes.
Eva Mendes. She has to gather spaceship parts with Luke Evans for another super weapon, because as I said, that's what this film franchise is about now. Actually, that's another reason why 7, I think, ranks so low for me, is because they kind of just fix the memory problem out of nowhere at the end of the movie.
They brought her back a little bit dead out of nowhere.
Yeah, but
it's oddly enough, it's eerily similar to the Gamora thing in Guardians of the Galaxy, isn't it? Since we're getting overlap now.
A little bit, but that's by the end of 7, she has her memories back.
In terms of the dramatic stakes,
yeah. But yeah, 6, blast. The tank scene's great.
I forgot.
No, it's only made it to 2 because I think the best one out of all of them is Fast 5.
Oh yeah, they put that's the one where they just turn it into a heist Avengers type thing.
Exactly. It's not. No, the back half of the movie is a heist movie. The first half is fixing every problem we've had with the other previous 4 movies. Even to the point of bringing back the scumbag Vince from the first movie, and let's give this little man, a lot of pathos.
That's just it. It probably launched Gal Gadot's career,
Probably, yeah. And then, yeah, like it's like Avengers style. 30 minutes into the movie, we just get like a smattering of all of your favorite characters from the past 4 movies that you half remember, like Tej and Roman.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson being the cop who's determined to take them down and pulling a safe down a road. And
that's, yeah, no, and out of all of them, like there's some great action set pieces in this movie. In this franchise, the cars going in, the diving the cars out of the moving plane is great. As I mentioned, flying the car into space, excellent. The 2 cars driving the room-sized safe through Sao Paulo is the best of all of them because of the whack-ass stuff that they do with that safe. Like they're slingshotting it around like a mall through the streets of Sao Paulo. It's a blast.
Oh my god. Katie, any questions?
So many.
Start going. I've got so much knowledge, Katie. I need to talk.
I don't think we have time. Just each question raises several further questions.
Just raises further questions.
But I am here. I'm along for the ride.
Yeah, right in the passenger seat with the nitrous oxide. I think what I'm getting at is I would thoroughly recommend watching 10 Fast and Furious movies over the course of 2 days.
And
it is an adrenaline high like I have not felt in a long time.
But the problem is, though, it's you have to pitch it to them like, no, it doesn't get really good till around 5. That's a big commitment on trust.
I would actually, do you know what? I would nearly recommend doing what I did and going sight unseen into 8. I went to see 8 when it came out with a bunch of friends, however many years ago. I knew nothing about the franchise, and next thing I know, The Rock is tossing a torpedo. I was in. As I mentioned, the only reason I think 8 falls low in my estimations is because of what it does with the established canon.
Right.
Not understanding the backstory, that movie's a blast. It's the one you don't need to know anything about.
Okay, all right.
So if you want to see what the Fast and Furious movies have become, 8. If you like that, go back.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting experiment. Just watching the first Fast and Furious and intercutting it with like the crazy stuff from later, like space and like all that kind of stuff. Paul Walker being like browbeaten for being an undercover cop. It's gonna seem like small potatoes once they've stopped an orb from space.
Hey, remember how the start of this franchise was them? Remember how the start of this franchise was them stealing VCRs?
Oh yeah, God! Speaking of things that are dated.
And then they steal a bank vault in Sao Paulo with like $11 million.
And like Fast 12 is like, the world has lost the Wi-Fi. We need to send you up in a car shuttle.
No, again, they did that in 9. In a Pontiac Ferrera. They sent the boys into space.
And the last 5 Academy Award winners will be with you. Does Kurt Russell stick around, by the way? I saw he was in 7.
He cameoed in 9.
Okay, all right. So it's all
he's in 8. He's significant in 8.
Yeah,
he cameoed in 9.
Okay, all right. Well, I hate to put you in the driving seat again, but I believe in our texts you wanted to talk about something that is incredibly not on, like, sweeping the nation at the moment. We want to talk about Final Fantasy 16 and 8, I believe.
Well, speaking of things that I think are incredibly silly and end up in space, I will talk about Final Fantasy 8.
Yeah. Do you want to take 8 and then I'll take, because I've got a few games as well, but I'm slightly worried that we won't have time for all of them. Casey, I feel so bad for you. Are you sure you don't want to talk about a film or something?
No, I'm good. I'm just enjoying hanging out. I've been away for too long.
Okay. All right. Well then,
okay, cool.
So for Kev, in 30 seconds, without giving away the ending, pitch Final Fantasy 8 to Katie.
Well, that won't be hard because I actually haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
In a separate weekend fugue state, I shotgunned the first 2 discs of Final Fantasy 8.
Right.
Which is about a military high school.
Oh, I've played this one.
Oh, with the sad boy? Yeah.
Yeah, this is the only one I've actually played.
Yeah, the sad boy with the gun sword. Yeah.
The only one you played?
It's the only one I've played, and he has the sexy teacher with the whips.
Yeah.
This is the only one you've played.
Yeah, and then the girl who shoots the corgi off her wrist.
There's so many good Final Fantasy games. This is the only one you've played.
Yeah, and the
I'm
tutorial level is like
you.
you're running away from a giant robot spider.
Oh, okay.
Hell yeah.
I'm very sorry. You know what? Let me have a feeling. Kev, could you finish your synopsis, please?
No, because it's about military high school, and then you have to stop a wizard. Like,
oh, it's much more complicated.
Oh no, it's much more than that. But that's the broad sweep in seconds. Because you also
as a quick blurb, it's impressive. Yes, you have kind of hit all the beats there. Yes.
But like it is also like I have not played every Final Fantasy, but of the, I'd say half of the franchise I played, this is easily the silliest and most anime.
Which is weird because it has a very grungy aesthetic.
Yeah, but then you get stuff like, again, the military high school that flies. The military high schools that flies. That culminates Disc 2 with a battle between two flying high schools.
See, I feel like you're doing the game a disservice because it's not as cohesive as you're making it sound.
No, I'm not.
I'm apart from the online ones, which are 11 and 14. I think I have played every Final Fantasy game. I don't count the mobile ones because a lot of them don't come out of Japan. But yeah, it's like this is the one that obviously followed Final Fantasy VII. So like, it's for me what holds back 8 in a big way is with 7 they had all this like groundbreaking graphics technology. And with 8, they tried to leap it further again, but the PlayStation 1 wasn't quite up to it. And so it looks a bit janky. And on top of that, it's got a really weird time travel plot that doesn't really pay off until the end. And even then, it's dubious. Like, what do you find appealing about 8?
I think like as I'm going back, because I'm coming at this as somebody who had not very little knowledge of it and was big into 7 and 9.
Right.
And having this now be a kind of a connecting tissue between those two, seeing that, because like I can see, because obviously 7 was ground shattering. Like that was a cultural reset when it came out.
Yeah.
So I'm like playing it, I can see the ambition of trying to go bigger.
Yes.
And like a lot like I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the guy they keep cutting back to in the past.
Oh, Laguna.
I
don't like this. I have played it a lot.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you have that reference, but like I'm obviously seeing a lot of like what 7 did with Zack Fair in Laguna.
Right.
Like,
okay,
there's
I never
aspects. There's aspects
of
7 that I think like they were like, well, we could probably tweak this to in this kind of aspect. But as I said, I think like the creativity just gets a bit too wild at points. And like the moment I had to stop and just laugh was when you find out all of your main party all came from the same orphanage, but had lost their memories. But not only that, the evil sorceress wizard was also all of your foster mother.
I'm gonna spoil something for you.
But not only that, the evil sorceress has not actually been herself, but was possessed by a different evil sorceress from the future.
You got all this out of 2 discs?
Yeah, man. I think I'm a little bit into 3. I'm in. Okay, I just hit space.
You are way near the end then. In that case.
Okay, I thought I was
hit space.
We are in space now, and that's on top of that.
There is kind of a comparison to be drawn between the trajectory of the Fast and the Furious and this game.
I can just start like rattling things off from 8. You know what? I can start rattling things off and try to have you guess if it's from Fast and Furious or from Final Fantasy VIII.
Go on.
Oh, do it.
Nah, okay. I will come back to this. I'm going to
have the Fast and Furious shot a dog off their arm yet.
I don't believe so. Do you know what? I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to do a bit of research on that one.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
I
want to segue to Katie for a second there. You say you've played this, or as you've just discovered. What do you remember about this?
So I haven't played all of it, but I do remember playing it as a kid on the PlayStation 1. And then I bought it again a couple of years ago when it was remastered for the Xbox. Right. But it was a lot more mathematical than I remember it being, so I got a bit overwhelmed and just shut it off. But I think my biggest takeaway, apart from all the bizarre stuff, was the GFs.
The summon monsters you summon in battle.
The summon monster, so like the big fire lion and the ice woman, and great times.
Yeah, well, I think you've actually hit upon why I don't find 8 as compelling. There are things to like about it, certainly. I wouldn't have finished it if there wasn't. Like, I said to Kev in the WhatsApp, like I've played all the other Final Fantasies a few times. I only just completed 8 for the first time like 4 or 5 years ago, so 20 years to complete it. But like the thing I struggle with, and maybe I'm playing it wrong, is that the battle system incentivizes you to just keep throwing the GFs, the summons, out over and over again. And there's no real consequence to it. So you just kind of end up doing it out of habit because you have to draw magic out of enemies, which means it's limited. You can't top it up at ins and stuff. So I ended up just like throwing the summons out over and over and sticking a podcast on in the background or something. So,
I mean, that's basically my play style. So it suits me.
But like, it's not like you're kind of not playing it anymore, but the game kind of punishes you if you don't play it that way.
I see no downside.
No, you play it differently, Kev.
No, that's exactly how I've been playing it.
Right.
And that is also kind of backed up. I'm playing the remaster, which I'm assuming the Pixel remasters have done this, but pretty much all the bigger re-releases of like 1 through 10 have introduced game boosters into the remasters because these are some decades old.
Sorry, what's a game booster?
So these are like you'll hit like the right trigger and you can have the game run at 3 times speed. You can have all of your characters suddenly enter limit break, and you can do another button means you take no damage. 8 is actually interesting
because I have 12 on the Switch and that has the fast forward and that made things a lot better. But because like that's another thing about the fight system. You only enter your limit break when you're low on health. So if you're playing the game well, you kind of never get to have the fun bit, And if you're low on health, you're going to heal your health, and then you never use it. Like it's just I get the ambition, but the whole fight thing, like I like the concept of drawing magic out of enemies and sort of equipping it as your thing. That's cool, but like it's sort of like it's the whole battle system feels like it's trying to stop you having fun,
Yeah, no, because the only downside to the GFs that I could find is that when they're loading, they have their health bar.
Yes.
But their health bars are always far and away larger than your characters.
Yeah, and so even if their health bars run out, you've still got your health bar.
Yeah, so like all you've just done is now you can't summon that one GF.
Yes.
Which by a point in the game, you have like 4 per character.
Yes. That's just it. I feel like 10 had the best compromise, which was that you could summon a monster, your party left, you only had your summon for a little while, and then you had to go back. Essentially, you could use them to solve all your problems if you wanted, but that was a choice you made. Like, it didn't feel like everything was geared around them,
Oh, I think 10 out of the turn-based systems, I think 10 has the best.
I agree.
One of my favorite things was it simply telling you the turn order.
Yes,
that was just great. So you can actually figure out what is happening.
That's right, and like you'd get lots of the battles had like little customizable events depending on where you were. Like like there's a bit where you're swimming against a monster chasing you. You can open gates and stick them behind things and all that. And 10-2 had the lovely job change system in combat. I still think that's way ahead of its time. Like
I still haven't played. I keep meaning to, but I haven't gotten around to 10.
10-2, like ignore. I hate to say this because it makes me sound old, but ignore the haters. 10-2 is actually a blast to play. It's great fun.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, I got us off track on 8. So here's a question: where do you think 8's going to end?
Now, listen, I've played a lot of Final Fantasy, and 14 runs this same trajectory where it goes all around the world. The end of 14, or at least the end of like the last expansion of 14, has you go to the end of the universe itself.
Yeah.
I'm expecting something similar from 8 at this point.
Yeah, you're in the ballpark. I mean, look, you've spoiled Phantom Fury. Yeah, basically, Ultimecia is a time witch, and she's kind of compressing time, and you have to go inside a castle she's kind of made at the center of time and go through a lot of trials and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you mean there's a playbook. You go to the center of the world, or the center of the universe, whatever,
and you kill God.
Yeah, the last the last 10 I won't say how it ends, but the last 10 minutes of the game are really weird and baffling because they have to explain all the time travel stuff. It's I don't know, I found the game really hard to engage with emotionally because I was never sure if Rinoa was Laguna's daughter or what's the connection. There's a weird magic sister Squall has, all that kind of stuff. It always I could tell it was a love story, and I thought that's really unique for Final Fantasy, to put it at the time, to put that at the center of it. But I always felt that the characters were just a bit wonky. Squall's a bit too surly to kind of hold your attention. I think the balance was right with Cloud, and then apart from obviously Quistis with the whip, the other 3 friends are just a bit stock. Every character in 7 and 9 is hugely memorable. You can remember a big significant thing they all do. But I just feel I don't know, 8's a little underwritten in that respect. How do you find it, Kev?
I think no, I'm pretty much on the same kind of page. I think it shot for the stars, but then kind of lost sight of itself in that. And then now that we are 8 games removed from it itself, it seems from 9 onwards, they kind of took the parts that would have worked in it and completely refined them to a mirror sheen elsewhere.
Yeah. I've heard the argument made that if you made 8 now, Zell would have been the main character because he's your typical spiky-haired protagonist. I'm not sure that necessarily would have made it better, but it's just interesting that I suppose there's lightning in 13, but by and large, we've kind of settled on sort of your stock Final Fantasy characters,
I'd refute that because Lightning was kind of a stoic Warris. Out of the 15 boys, Noctis, your main character, was the broody loner type.
Okay, all right.
Especially considering you had a Zell in 15 in Prompto, and listen, we can talk about it soon. 16, boy, if there is a Final Fantasy protagonist as moody as Squall, it is Clive Rosfield.
Okay, all right. Well, we may have time for it. I'm going to quickly zip through Crisis Core, if that's okay.
Please, actually, because this is the remake, right?
Yes. Now, it's actually, for anyone who's not, because you kind of alluded to it earlier, Final Fantasy VII has this big cliffhanger thing where we travel the whole game with Cloud. He boasts about how he's a #1 soldier, first class. And then it turns out near the end that he wasn't. It was all delusion he came up with in his head. The real person who went on his adventures was Zack, and we don't get to see what happened with Zack. So Crisis Core is kind of a prequel, the story of Zack and how all the villains ended up where they need to be at the start of Final Fantasy VII. It was one of my favorite games on the PSP. It's got I think my favorite game mechanic, and maybe you can have you ever heard of this at all, Katie?
Crisis Core, yeah. I haven't played it, but I'm vaguely familiar with it.
Okay, well then maybe you can call me on it if I say something wrong. But it's got a mechanic in it where you only play as Zack the whole way through, hacking, slashing things with swords, all that. But while you're playing, a slot machine is going invisibly in the background, and the slot machine has the faces of his friends. And depending on how well you know your friends and all that kind of stuff, if all their faces line up, you will not only get a memory of something you didn't see off screen, some conversation they didn't have, maybe a fun one, maybe a serious one, but then he will do an attack based on his relationship to the friend. So like the Aerith is his love interest, like she'll heal him, like his mentor will give him a pep talk and he'll, get revved up and punch some guys. The suits the Turks who he's kind of slightly ambivalent to, they'll do like an airstrike drone thing from far away. So like there's the character's like personality is woven into the game mechanics, which you don't kind of see a lot of. At least I don't nowadays. So I think it's one of the most fun games. It's one of the best prequels because it's one of those prequels that actually does make the thing it's based on better. Like, it's not like, oh, here's all the stuff you've done before. Isn't it quaint that we're all related? Bah, that kind of stuff. It does kind of feel very earnest. It actually kind of interrogates what it's like to be a soldier and kind of have this weird thing of being both an oppressor and like a protector, that whole thing. In terms of like the remaster, they've changed out the voice cast, which I still find a bit unsettling, but I'm not going to like give notes on a new voice. It's not their job to sound as the samey as the previous cast. They just do what they do. But the remaster, go on.
Do you mean that the remaster doesn't have famous Japanese pop star Gact?
That I don't see. I only ever played it in English, so I don't know if Gact's in it or not. But you are right. Yeah, and actually, this harkens into a weird thing. I haven't played the 7 remake, so I don't know if this is the voice cast of the remake being transferred onto this game, if you get me.
Right.
But it is faithful. It is the same game with like some graphical things. They've improved some mechanics. They make it easier to find treasure chests and kind of navigate the mission menus and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out, even if you haven't played Final Fantasy VII, it's great fun. It's a really nice, easy to get like sword hack slasher. And if you are in the Final Fantasy VII world, like there's loads of Easter eggs. If not, I think it's a perfectly serviceable game. And I don't know, it just gets me in the feels. I love it every time I play it. And the only thing I'll say about it is it feels like it's building towards a sequel to Final Fantasy VII that may never exist. Because you mentioned Gact, that's what they were building up with Dirge of Cerberus and Genesis and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's now scrapped, but it's still a great game. Oh, I do have a negative though, which is that there's DLC, which like for an extra 20 quid, don't buy it. It's not worth it. It does not affect gameplay at all. You get what is called a mini soundtrack and 40 posters. And the mini soundtrack is 7 songs, and you can't even like download them onto your Spotify or anything. It is literally just a separate file. I was expecting like at least a few costumes or maybe the full album or something that could but no, it's just literally a separate file. I completely skip it. I was lucky that I got it on sale, so it was just basically the same full price, but nah, skip. I got tricked. Don't let it happen to you.
Now, you mentioned about a sequel to Final Fantasy VII we never got.
Yeah.
How much do you know about the 7 remakes?
Other than the fact they changed things, basically nothing. And I do apologize. We've 3
No, I don't want, like, in case you ever want to get around to playing them, I won't give defined details.
Right.
But that's the thing. It is almost working as a pseudo sequel to that original 7 franchise.
Okay. I know, like, the plot lines diverge. I know that much.
But in a weird kind of, like, multiversal sense, the original 7 still exists outside of this canon.
Kind of into the Spider-Verse type stuff.
Sorta. It's a funky meta narrative sort of thing. In a way that I can see why people are upset. I love it.
Oh no, like I would be more upset if it was the same and like, but they changed things just for the sake of changing them. If it's clearly different, sure, that gives them like a free pass to do whatever they want. Go crazy with it. Why not?
Like it came out back in like 2019, 2020, and I finished that being like, wow, I can't believe that right now I am most excited about Final Fantasy VII, of which that sequel now comes out at the start of next year, and
nice. See, I don't have a PlayStation 4 or 5, so I'll probably never get to play it. I will say, I really just hope they release Dirge of Cerberus on the PS5 or the Switch or something. Are you familiar with that one?
Oh, I played the hell out of it.
Oh, you played it?
Yeah, man.
Oh, actually, sorry, I never went to UK. Like, what do you remember about Crisis Core?
Um, other than I've seen maybe 5 or 10 seconds of my housemate playing it, nothing.
That'll
But
do.
she was very excited for it, so
Well, how would I? What if I told you that one of the sequels to Crisis Core was a butt rock first-person shooter with a vampire?
Ooh.
That's
Oh
Dirge
yeah.
Cerberus.
Lots of people seem to hate Dirge of Cerberus, but it's one of my favorite games. I don't know
It's
why.
like no, objectively, it's a poorly built game, but it is also a wild ride.
Imagine, if you will, Katie, that you are the emo vampire from the Final Fantasy VII series, and you have lots of guns. And if guns don't work, you can turn into not one but two different types of monster to fight an evil organization that is kidnapping people to make a monster that will end the world.
Sounds amazing.
At one point, you have to do a covert secret mission as a cat.
Where do I sign?
The
You
PS2.
signed 15 years ago on the PlayStation 2. But I'm hoping that this will get it over the edge into being remastered. It would have to be remastered for the Switch. The graphics would probably be poor nowadays. But it was a spin-off's go. It was like, it didn't lean too much on like nostalgia or anything. It was properly its own game, wasn't it, Kev?
Oh yeah, no, it was its own identity. What that identity is messy, fraught, and certainly like mid 2000s, but it was its own identity.
Oh yeah, totally. And like you did get like his backstory, there was a lot to pull on to make a game. It's not like they were just inventing it out their ears or anything. Like, like
it was the little game that could.
Yeah, no, it's like it was definitely the thing that kind of put the axe in the seven franchise for about a decade.
I still don't know why. I don't I get how it might have dated, but like it's not like it's cringy or like
no, but it is like, as I said, I had fun with it. It's not a good game on paper because it is extra. Like it is extremely repetitive. Like the gunplay does not change throughout the entire time.
You get to be a cat
once. Like that's
once
I can
enough.
see. Yeah, I can see why it like compared to the spikes in quality that like the other 7 games, like 7 obviously itself is a masterpiece. As you mentioned, Crisis Core does a lot of fun, interesting things. This feels like, oh, we have a year and we need to put out a shooter.
Okay, all right. I suppose that's fair. I'm still gonna. We never got. There was a. I know we're kind of running up against time. There was a mobile game released about the Turks. I think it was called Before Crisis.
Yes.
In Japan, which had a full-on narrative that tied into like Crisis Core and Dirge Cerberus, and characters from it came and went, and never made it out of Japan, unfortunately.
But I'd like because they're bringing back the whole kind of like 7 anthology in a big way. There's another mobile game coming out sometime. It might be before the end of this year, called Ever Crisis.
Okay.
Now, I don't know much about it. It might be a gambling gotcha game, so be warned about that. But it looks like it's taking a lot of kind of mission-based structures throughout all of that original 7 anthology, Ever Crisis stuff included. And the thing is, I wish it wasn't like a predatory gambling microtransaction game, because the thing is it looks like a kind of a faithful remaster of 7 in the chibi kind of blocky art style.
Okay, all right.
Like it looks really good, but it will be designed to vacuum money from you.
Oh, sugar. Well, look, as long as it's not like Chocobo Racer or something like that,
You leave the chocobos out of this.
If it's a game at the end of the day, I'll try and seal my wallet and give it a go.
Did you know though that Chocobo Racing game has been rebranded with all the microtransactions taken out? I think it might be free to play now.
Oh my god!
Oh, they U-turned that and made it just a full ass game.
Those poor chocobos never hurt anybody.
Because I used to play the hell out of Chocobo Racing on the PS1.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was my jam. It was a very cheap Mario Kart clone. I loved it. It had like 6 characters and 3 stages, but I played the hell out of them.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you're warming me up to it now.
I can't. I've looked. You cannot get it anywhere. PS1 discs go for a bomb.
I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to talk about Final Fantasy 16, by the way, but we are out of time. So, Kev, is there anything you want to plug or anything you want to say before we wrap?
No. I think my plug is go watch all of the Fast and Furious movies. Hell of a drug.
Oh my goodness. What about you, Mannequin Blue?
Nothing other than the usual stuff. Twitch, Acutely Morbid, all that kind of thing. Follow the socials and just support Irish artists.
That's just it. Okay. Now, we will be back next week as always. I won't say what we'll be covering next week because frankly, I don't know when this episode will be going out. But thank you very much for listening. Until next time, I've been Cian.
I've been Kev.
And we've also been here.
Lots of us have been here. We're all a big family. And until next time, bye.
Bye.
Family.
Squall.
Alright, so you're listening to the podcast, you're like, hey, I'm not in Ireland, how do I get in touch? Well, TuneIn has you covered. That's how you can check us out live when we're on the radio. You go to TuneIn and download the app, or you can check out the live streams on nerdtoknowmedia.com or Phoenix 92.5 FM. If you want to get in contact with us, it's very easy. Nerd to Know Media everywhere. Nerd to Know Media on Twitter, Nerd to Know Media Instagram, Nerd to Know Media on Twitch, Nerd to Know Media at gmail.com if you want to reach out via email. Hope to hear from you soon. Check out the Wrestling Rewind here on Phoenix 92.5 FM every Tuesday at 8 PM to 9 PM. And of course, over on nerdtoknowmedia.com, the only wrestling podcast by wrestling fans who don't hate wrestling. We'll see you then.
Hey, Dara, what are you doing over there in Ireland? Like with the freaking leprechauns and everything. That's not cool. You should be over here with the cosplayers. At least then you could, like, I don't know, pretend like you got, I don't know, some kind of thing going on. Yeah, with you give me a Brooklyn Blaze. With you. Dara. Yeah, Dara. Why ain't you over here with Joey? Anyway, we missed you, dude. So, this is Little Karibo saying,
I love it.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.